Nice to see you again. And I think the audience, whoever it's going to be out there, whether it be art lovers, artists, inspired people who are intrigued by the field of creativity, what it means, the history of art, maybe you can try to share with us um, what we're doing with this channel.
Okay. Uh, I think we have several goals with the channel. I think primarily we want to give people an inside look into two living, working artists, what their lives are like, what's has concerned them in the past as well as in the present. Um, and that involves a lot of different things, which we really are hoping makes for a very interesting YouTube channel for people from many backgrounds, like Stephen mentioned. And I appreciate the introduction, Stephen. Um, we have been practicing for over 40 years.
How many? You say
Over
40?
40.
40?
Yes. Don't you think?
Wow. I didn't know that was going on that long. That's with the advent of television, or definitely.
it, I had been saying 30 years, but then I thought to myself, more like 40. So I upped it by a decade, sort of like stop lying about my birthday.
So, in other words, what you're saying, Eric, is that we are two mature artists
Yes,
who have, over the years, been able to celebrate birthdays.
yes. And yeah, I think it's very safe to say that we're pretty seasoned artists and we've been involved in a lot of different art activities together, especially over. And if you recount our friendship, I guess that goes on 20 years anyway.
That is true.
Yeah. And working together during that time, bouncing, ideas off each other and techniques and, um, talking about artists in the past. And uh, the goal, as I'm talking about it, I would say of the channel is to invite people from the audience into the discussions we've been having. I know right now we're calling the channel the Artist's Eye. We have been referring to ourselves over the years as artists in dialogue, which I think has been very accurate. And we have exchanged a lot of ideas that I think has been helpful to both of us. And I continue to look forward to doing this for a very long time. And I think this channel is a natural outgrowth of that, where we've come to the point where we want to share this dialogue we've been having with the general public, the general art public, uh, and along the way, sharing our own artwork as well. The processes we've been involved with, some of the shows we've been involved with, what we appreciate about art history, how it's influenced us, just a whole host of different topics we hope to cover. Uh,
Tell me something, Eric.
yes,
Why do you think, with all the programs out there on YouTube, showcasing different approaches to art, uh, how can we present a YouTube about art information with, of course, different questions that you and I have been bouncing off of each other for a while, and also presenting those questions. What would be basically the uniqueness that sets our channel apart that would invite people to want to be involved?
I think a very important question to be answered. And, um, this might be one we answer together. But I think that there are other art channels on YouTube that are either primarily teaching channels. Watch me do this activity, whether watercolor, acrylic, oil, and follow along. Um, or there are some channels strictly devoted to explaining different art movements, art styles. And I think those are all great channels. But I think ours is unique in the sense that we are going to be attempting and hopefully successful in communicating that there's a lot more to making art than actually sitting down and doing it. There's a lot of different things that influence us, a lot of thought that goes into it. And our backgrounds in themselves, I think, have predisposed us to be interested in making art. And people viewing hopefully will be very interested in this different kind of angle. Go ahead.
So let me ask you a question, and then maybe I'll ask you another question more specific about yourself. But yes, we are seasoned creative people, and over the years, um, I have interchangeably used the title artist, and then I have also crossed over and said I'm a maker of art. So I think we should basically come to terms and question the ingredients of what basically determines a creative human being calling himself an artist, as opposed to a maker of creative things or a maker of art. I think that involves definitions that we should try to narrow down, because certain words are used very fluidly, easily, to define the occupation of art as an artist. Because I have seen on Instagram people who describe their profile as, I'm an artist and I just started a couple of months ago making drawings or paintings, and I would like to have my art seen on this particular venue. And then I question whether they're using the word so interchangeably in terms of artist and maker of art. And I think that in our channel, we can basically try to make it more clear that there is a developmental process to assume that one is a seasoned artist, so that we can help people understand what it means to be creative, and at some point what it means to call themselves an artist. So let me ask you uh, the basic first question that you and I were talking about, and maybe we can spend about maybe 10 minutes on that and play it back and forth with each other in terms of uh, what basically motivated you to want to become interested in making art, so that we can explore that history of your development, and we can both give some sort of preview to people what the intention is to represent ourselves as artists.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that question. And it's something I think that I can only realize in looking back now, trying to kind of put things in a perspective. And probably the most definitive answer is there's a couple different starting points I think I've had. One, when I was quite young and influenced by my parents, um, my grandparents, and then also two, a little further on in my life, in my maybe mid 20s, when the idea, the pursuit of making art became a realization. And those are kind of like two different parts to the answer. I'll make it as simple of an explanation as I can. Um, I think that there actually was a specific moment that I can remember that, and I'll start with the time in my mid 20s where I was experiencing a lot of turmoil and a lot of anxiety in my life at the time, um, for various reasons, which I don't think it's really necessary to go into at this time. But um, I found myself, and I guess that's part of it, is I gravitated toward making art as a form of expression and relief. It gave me a great deal of relief to help me through this period of time in my life. And um, I was experimenting a lot with art materials specifically at this time. I remember making large watercolors on the floor of the kitchen of the apartment that um, we lived in. And as I worked on the watercolor, I was noticing something that had developed recently in making art, that I was creating art that came much more from deep inside, um, and revealing things to myself. And I even remember some of the parts of that particular watercolor I was working on, and gave me insight into my life. And at that time, it was almost like this thunderbolt came down. And, I'm just trying to make an analogy of what it was like. This very stark realization of, this is what I'm meant to do. This is such a um, meaningful experience for myself, and a way of self-discovery, and um, also too of other companions in the art field that I've met around that time. Who's
What age were you?
Yeah,
When-
I was about 25, I think.
Okay.
But some of the people that I was around were the two specific people. They were potters, and they did a lot of hand building, a lot of glazing, and they they lived like artists. That's the best way I could describe them. Is um, the
What is that? Eric, forgive me. What
yeah.
does that mean? They lived like artists. What does that actually
Well, they their whole attitude, and I think for me when I came in contact with them, it was contagious to me. They they put their effort into creativity. It was actually their livelihood. They were teaching also, but their attitude towards life was an adventure, and it was not something to be conquered or endured or um, but anything that came along with the adventure was important. It was part of their lives. They had a family. They had this business that they were involved in, and they had a their spirits were one of creativity and curiosity and openness to life. Um, they had built their own house uh, out of a barn. Uh, so that was another like phase of or aspect of their creativity and um, certain freedom about the way they lived, certain, I guess,
mean?
assumptions that
I
if
think
they kept, I'm
we're
sorry,
freezing right now.
what?
We were freezing. Your
Oh,
your
okay.
valuable information didn't totally come through. Uh, so if you reflect on these two people who inspired you,
Yes.
it was a way of life.
Yeah, it was a way
It
of
was an
life.
attitude, and
Yes.
it was a certain that you appreciated from them.
Yeah, certain, they were very much alive in the moment,
Good point.
which I I was a person before that really was not living that way. And I found when I was making art that I was becoming more like that. I could live a lot more in the moment, be more spontaneous and um, uh, more joyful. I think art definitely had a good impact on my physical, mental health.
Hmm.
But I think I probably should save the first part of this, what I was referring to, for maybe a different time, because
Hmm.
the answer is going on for a while.
Sure.
I'd like to kind of turn it over to you, and
No, I
this,
think what you were saying is very important. I think you were basically describing um, the the mood and the journey that you were on and you are on in terms of how to be both how to communicate yourself, how to find a way to use it um, as a means of providing some sort of outlet, therapeutic outlet for yourself
mm-hmm.
to be the best you could to express yourself.
It's very well said. And I'm trying to formulate in my mind here how we can kind of segue over to your experiences.
Oh, I think it's
Were-
very close to each other. I think that besides describing the ingredients of our channel in terms of what we're going to be focusing on, I think that what you were describing is very important because you're laying the groundwork, the foundation uh, for yourself as an individual, as a human being, um, discovering a means to communicate. And
100%.
I explored that same avenue because I always felt the need to um, want to find means of communication, sources, tools to be able to say something both to myself as a learning process, but also be able to reach other people. And just a side note, as a child, I was very, very private. Um, I used to love to go outside as a child and to, if there were stray dogs or stray cats, I would just find the moment to pat them and to look at them and to try to develop some sort of a dialogue with them. That was something that I remember the innocence of childhood. And so the privacy that I went through as a child, I started to say, well, to experiment with art materials was very private and very conducive to play with the materials. And it provided me with the bridge, the transition to be private in the process of learning how to play with materials and realize that with my experimenting and playing with materials, I could create something. I could make something come to life. And so when I started to feel the power of that energy of creativity, I started to also realize that my need to communicate with myself was also a bridge to communicate with others. And I think that in our channel, how you described your life and what it meant and what it means to use it both in a creative way and to experiment and to play and to absorb yourself uh, has also the wonderful benefits of being very therapeutic.
Mhm.
And I think that's great for people to know that that is a side benefit of knowing about creativity, knowing about you and I as individual artists and what our own journey and process has been.
Mhm.
And to be able to go from there to examine other artists. You okay?
Yes, sorry about that.
Uh, to examine the technique and styles of other artists and be able to talk about ourselves as contemporary artists, historically other artists, certain periods in art, and also for us to explore certain questions such as the pillars that we have formulated and drawn up as a foundation to continue to present this particular YouTube channel. Eric, thank you very much.
You too, Stephen. I Before we move on, I just want to ask you one question.
Sure.
From our prior discussions, you have mentioned that, and I know you just mentioned somewhat, but um, you've had some experiences where you have found art also to be very therapeutic
Hmm.
for yourself. In terms of um, self-discovery, share a medium to be able to share with others. Um, and I think that is an important point, that um, important benefit that you and I have experienced. I don't know if you want to say anything more about that right
Uh,
now, or
no, I think it's great that I'll just mention that as a child, being so private and withdrawn, um, I remember at times having a need uh, to just use my hands, put my hands over my ears, cup my ears to kind of keep away very, very strange, or maybe as a child, you interpret them as frightening sounds.
Mhm.
And as a child, my mother thought that it might be interesting for me to find out why I cup my hands on my ears to block out certain sounds. And this wonderful person who I had gone to for about a year or 2 years, excuse me, um, she exposed me to making model airplanes. And that was a part of the session that we had um, as a child from around 9 to 11. And she was so skillful and imaginative that to have me make a model airplane, I had to take my hands off of my ears and to take the certain components of the plastic units and put them together, that I had to use my hands, I had to use glue. And so it became, for me, a way of seeing that, hey, one could open up and learn to talk and be expressive and be spontaneous. And at the same time, it's a very, very free, open, spontaneous process. And it gives you the opportunity both to relax and to be absorbed in the process of building something and discovering what you're building, and then to learn to talk and to be able to share. And I think that learning to talk, learning to communicate, learning to share what I was doing, I started to see as an imaginary field when I was young, that maybe being a maker of art or learning to develop myself into an artist could be my next profession. Thank you very much for the question.
oh, not at all. And thank you for your insight. As I was listening to you, I was reflecting on how clever the woman who was working with you was. Um, I think her choice of making model airplanes was, I don't want to read too much into it, but it seems kind of symbolic into your, airplanes, freedom, opening up,
Getting right, getting off the ground.
getting off the ground.
Yeah.
And yeah, is a wonderful metaphor for um, kind of moving on and doing new things and being open to new things and developing a sense of identity, which I it's very impressive.
I think your choice of words is also very, very good. It's very, very descriptive what you're saying for yourself and describing the process for me. So I think it's an excellent way to present who we are and take it next time to the next level with some more questions and then getting more into maybe the pillars that we can explain next time what it involves.
Very good.
So,
It
Eric,
sounds really good, Stephen. I um next video I have something I related to um very much in what you had said when you were younger and so forth, and some of your experiences being outside. Um, excuse me, maybe we'll wait to the next video that I could share that
that'd be great.
and
Just
then
one
moving
question,
to the rest.
one very important question. What were you trying to search behind you?
It's trying to turn that phone off. I thought I had lowered the volume, but those phones, they can be great, but they can also be a big annoyance.
Eric, thank you so much for today. Thank you.
You too. You too. And I really look forward to more. And yeah, but keep it moving.
Exactly.
All right, my friend.
Okay, so maybe you can take off the recording
Yes, I'll
and
do
then
that.